The late 1970s were a pivotal time in video games. The Atari 2600 released in 1977 with 9 launch titles: Blackjack, Surround, Basic Math, Video Olympics, Combat, Air-Sea Battle, Starship, Street Racer, and Indy 500. Atari was trying to cover as many genres as they could. In this nascent era of video games, there was an opportunity to try out new things and see what would stick. Action, racing, education, genres were forming. And you'd want a product like this to appeal to a wide swath of people. The more households, the better. Kids, adults, grandparents. It's that magical formula that made the Wii a runaway success decades later. In 1977, Atari was hunting for this. So we have this new technology. We have the marketing muscle to entice customers to dive in. So it's an exciting time for video games, and ideas were thrown around like crazy, some of them ending up working quite well. And in that spirit, I present to you Hangman for the Atari 2600. Now, you're probably thinking, why not just get a pen and paper? Great question. When I play Atari 2600 games, my faves are Enduro, Kaboom, or Berserk, which are more representative of what a video game is, but I always find myself playing Hangman every now and then. Maybe it's because I dig word games, but I think its sheer existence reminds me that there was an era in video game history where this was a viable product. It was a time, theoretically, that I could walk into a store and say, hey, I want to buy this kid's game that can easily be replicated on a pen and paper. I need that experience at home on my 17-inch wood-grain CRT TV. And just how much would you pay for this riveting experience at home? Well, I couldn't find a catalog or advert outright stating the price for a 2600 game in 1978, but from what I could gather from anecdotes on forums like Atari Age, the average price of an Atari 2600 game was about $20 to $30 US. Let's put this in the middle at $25. Adjusting for inflation in 2023, you would be paying $117.21. That's about as much as the deluxe edition of any AAA title these days. And looking at this, there ain't anything deluxe about it. Now, many games from this era will boast that you get a multitude of games on one cartridge. Combat, the pack-in title for the system, comes with a whopping 27 games! Clueless parents would see this in stores and think, wow, what a steal! These aren't multi-carts though, if that's what you're thinking. It's misleading marketing. There's 27 modes that modify certain aspects of the game, but the mechanics don't change. You're still blowing up tanks in combat. And under this vague phrasing, difficulty levels and 2-player modes are considered separate video games as well. This is like saying Street Fighter 2 came with 8 video games total, or Super Mario Bros. Came with 2. And I'm not talking about Super Mario Bros. Plus Duck Hunt, because that's legitimately 2 games in one cart, but you know what I mean. Is that dishonest marketing? Yeah, absolutely. But back then, developers did do their best to make your purchase worth your while, so I can overlook the bad choice of words here. Hangman comes with 9 game modes, breaking down into difficulty levels. Games 1 through 4 are single player, with each game featuring words from a higher grade level. It starts at 1st to 3rd grade vocabulary on the easiest difficulty, and scales up to high school words on the highest. Games 5 through 8 are 2-player modes, where both players take turns guessing letters on the respective difficulty. Game 9 requires people to physically leave the room, while the other player enters a custom word to be guessed. So, not only are we playing this pen and paper game on TV, but it's way more of a hassle to do so! And I'm paying how much for the privilege again? But in 1978, apparently there were no rules. This was cutting-edge technology. The future is now. Deal with it. I must mention also that there are no menus in-game to select these options. If you're on the actual hardware, you had to flip physical switches on the console to change the settings and start the game. If you don't have the manual to tell you what setting does what, you're just left guessing. This got better in later years with in-game menus, like on the ColecoVision, but the compromise was having to use one of the worst controllers in gaming history. It's like a phone! What the hell is this? But I digress. So, it's Hangman. You guess the letters in a word and prevent our dude here from getting hanged at the gallows. Every wrong guess draws a limb, but I guess in this case it's a monkey hanging on a branch. I suppose we gotta think of the children here. You got 11 incorrect guesses total before the drawing is complete, which feels quite generous. When I played Hangman, you had 7 guesses total. The post, head, torso, both arms, and both legs. I know some kids would count facial features like eyes and a nose as guesses, but if you're aiming at high-level Hangman play, then you go with the standard 7. Sound design here is simple but effective. You get the alphabet song as you scroll through letters. Listen to this buzz though on an incorrect guess. Short, harsh, there's no mistaking it. That is the sound of failure. Shame! If a friend heard this, they'd probably laugh at you and not understand why you can't spell words from high school. Hangman doesn't have any background music, but that's typical of this era. I'd imagine the bulk of the memory is dedicated to the game's dictionary that holds 510 words, which for the time is pretty good. Words are no larger than 6 letters. It's not bad by any means, and hindsight being 2020, definitely not odd. Whether it's Boggle, Wordle, Waffle, crosswords, Internet Scrabble Club, word games are popular. I can go on, but publications dragged on this game. The autumn 1983 issue of TV Gamer over in the UK said the following. This is the video version of the game, traditionally played on paper, and as nothing is added by being transferred to the screen, it's poor value for money. Well, okay, but you did write this 5 years after its release, and by then you got it in the bargain bin at almost £15. But if we adjust for inflation, £15 in 1983 would be about £50 now, which converts to $64 US as of the writing of this script. Never in my wildest dreams would I imagine I'd have a video game channel on YouTube and I'd be breaking down inflation, but here we are. Now in the present, we can just play Hangman for the 2600 online for free right now. I'll provide a link in the description if you wanted to check it out. Hangman was also featured on Atari Flashback Classics Volume 2, a compilation totaling over 50 games from both the 2600 and the arcade as well. There's also word of new games coming out for the Atari 50 collection. Maybe Hangman might make an appearance there? We'll have to see. So there's many different ways to play this on your console or PC, and there's emulation too. Either way, bare bones, basic, but fun! And if you're into word games, it's an easy way to kill a couple minutes. If it was 1978 though, and I had to pay MSRP for this, I'd be pretty upset. So. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time out, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. Check out my other reviews as well, and I have more videos coming soon. Enduro and Berserk are probably my top Atari 2600 games, but Hangman is up there too. Again, I love me some word games. If you have any suggestions for reviews, leave a comment. I'd love to hear what your faves are, Atari 2600 or otherwise. I'm also on Twitch at twitch.tv/VolitionVX, Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Come chill as I play whatever, retro games mainly, with more modern stuff here and there. Links to my socials are in the description. Like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have a good one.